In the world of work, the rules used to be pretty simple. But what if your boss wasn't a person you could talk to? What if your manager was an algorithm you could never quite understand? Well, today we're diving headfirst into the gray zone, this new, totally undefined space where millions of people now work. And believe me, the old rules just don't apply anymore. So, to really get what's happening now, we've got to take a quick step back. Let's look at the world we're all familiar with. For decades, the whole landscape of work was pretty straightforward. It was basically split into two very distinct categories. You had a pretty clear choice. On one hand, you could be an employee. You trade a little bit of your autonomy for security, a steady paycheck, and benefits. On the other hand, you could be a freelancer. You gave up that safety net for sure, but you got flexibility and the freedom to be your own boss. The lines were drawn in the sand and you knew exactly which side you were on. But that clear divide, it's vanishing fast. A new kind of manager has stormed into the workplace. One you can't see, one you can't reason with, and one you definitely can't find in an office. It's this invisible force that runs entirely on data, on efficiency, and on cold hard code. This is what researchers call algorithmic management, or AM for short. And in simple terms, it's a system where platforms use just massive amounts of data to manage workers automatically. It's basically a data-driven boss that assigns your tasks, monitors your performance, and pretty much runs the whole show on today's gig platforms. So how does this algorithmic boss actually work? Well, it's a relentless, nonstop cycle. The algorithm is constantly gathering data on everything a worker does. It uses that data to automatically hand out tasks, it monitors performance in real time, right down to the second, and then it uses those results to decide who gets the next job. There are no weekly check-ins here. The evaluation is constant. And this new system of management just shatters our old models. It doesn't create employees and it doesn't create freelancers, it creates something else entirely. It's carved out this ambiguous, legally murky space where, honestly, millions of workers now find themselves. This quote really gets to the heart of it. Workers are just caught in the middle. They're not quite traditional employees, but they're not fully independent entrepreneurs either. They exist in what researchers have fittingly called the gray zone. Think of it like this. In this gray zone, workers are subject to the control of an employer. They're told what to do and how to do it by the algorithm, but they carry all the instability of a freelancer. That means no benefits, no job security, and no legal protections. It's like they're left with all the responsibilities of a job, but none of the rights. Okay, so what does it actually feel like to work for an algorithm? What's the day-to-day reality for someone whose boss is literally a piece of software? Let's get into it. For the worker, it is a high-pressure reality. Their labor is treated like a simple commodity, easily replaceable. There's this constant nagging pressure to pacify the algorithm, to basically act in ways you think it will reward you even when the rules aren't clear at all. This creates a huge power imbalance and just this chronic uncertainty about whether you'll even get work tomorrow. Let's look at a concrete example to really see how this plays out. We're talking about Amazon Mechanical Turk, or AMT. It's a crowd-work platform where people complete these small digital tasks, often for very little pay. It's a perfect case study of life in the gray zone. On a platform like AMT, the design itself creates these challenges. First off, workers are just reduced to these anonymous alphanumeric IDs, which isolates them from clients and from each other. Then, clients can rate workers, but workers can't rate them back, creating this massive power imbalance. A client can reject your work for no reason with no way for you to appeal it, and you just lose out. And on top of all that, getting the better paying gigs is controlled by this vague master status with no clear path for how to actually get it. But here's the thing. This system, with all its ambiguity and uncertainty, it's not an accident. It's not a design flaw. It's intentional. It's a core part of the business strategy for these online labor platforms. And that brings us to the crucial question, right? Why would a platform deliberately design a system that creates so much confusion and instability? What's the strategic advantage of keeping your workers in this legally undefined space? The answer is really simple, and it's incredibly powerful. By classifying workers as independent contractors, these platforms strategically sidestep all the costs and responsibilities of traditional employment. We're talking no minimum wage, no overtime, no health insurance, no retirement contributions. For the platforms, this gray zone is immensely profitable. So here's the bottom line. This isn't just about rideshare drivers or online task workers anymore. Algorithmic management is spreading, moving into more and more traditional industries. And this leaves us with a fundamental, massive question for the future of work. If the manager is an algorithm and the worker is neither an employee nor a freelancer, who then is responsible for them?